Stefkov. I'm from WhyNot, founder and CEO. WhyNot is all about unleashing the wisdom of crowds through crowdsourcing ideas and decisions for everything that's around us. Primarily, it's unleashing the wisdom of crowds in commerce, but we also have a category that we call it the wisdom of crowds, which is unleashing the wisdom of crowds and crowdsourcing ideas for the society that we live in. So I'm going to give a short example, a short story. 100 years ago, a British scientist, he went on a village fair, and they had a competition for anybody could guess what's the weight of a cow, of an animal, and 400 people guessed what's the weight. From 400 people, nobody guessed the right weight. But the British scientist who was there calculated the average guess, and the average guess was exactly the weight of the cow. The result was that everybody was wrong, but collectively they were right. So that was an idea that was explored later on that led to a conclusion that crowds are smarter even than the smartest individual within the group. So we thought how we can create a platform where we can leverage this wisdom of crowds on a daily basis for the decisions that are important to our living. Because we want to build a business, we did it for the commerce. But because we also want to help society, we enable a category which anybody can publish an idea, share it with friends, like-minded people, gather support, and get the idea happen. So I'm just going to go to the subject of today, which is crowdsourcing the next New York City mayor, which means leveraging the wisdom of crowds, of citizens of New York, in finding the best New York City mayor ever. So anybody can give an idea, anybody can log in to WhyNot and give an idea, like we give some examples, Spike Lee or Fred Wilson, or anybody you think can be the best mayor ever in New York. So it's not, the whole idea is why we should outsource our leaders from political parties when now, today, we have enough technology, enough interconnectivity to use our collective wisdom, collective consciousness, and crowdsource them instead of outsource them. Andrew Razjay today, he gave a very good example about how we're going to get actually our next New York City mayor, because we know that 80% of New York citizens are Democrats, and unfortunately only 500,000 citizens in New York will be involved into elections, and only 40% of those, which means 200,000, will be enough to choose the mayor from the Democrats. It means New York City, with maybe 20 million citizens, will get a mayor that will be chosen from 200,000 citizens. That's 1%. So obviously the rest of the 99% or 90%, whatever, will feel left behind, or they will simply feel that they will not include it into the process, and that will certainly not make them more enthusiastic citizens, willing to feeling that their say is heard, that their opinion matters, and that certainly doesn't make productive citizens of the city and of the whole country. So we believe that through process like this, where people can authentically say their wishes, their ideas, and test them on the market, see what their friends and like-minded people think, if I say why not Spike Lee for mayor of New York, and I share that, and that goes virally, and there are maybe 200,000 votes or why nots, it means that Spike Lee has the same credibility like the candidate from the Democratic Party. And then we can all say, hey, why not Spike Lee? Why this guy? Maybe he's going to have 500,000, maybe 1 million. So maybe he will have twice than the Democratic candidate who would supposedly win, just because that's the flow of history. That's the way how the system works. From everyone today, we heard that everybody believes the system is broken. So we should find new ways for the new century, the new democracy. And we believe one of the ways to do that is through crowdsourcing and just allowing a free market of ideas where virally they can just spread as much as they deserve. So, because we are on a law school, our challenge is to how we can find a legislation that can support this kind of system. Something that we can have our online identities. We cannot fake pools. We cannot pretend like there are 100,000 people in some pool. So how we can make centers of power or officials to take to really listen and really give a thought to what people are saying, and something that can make this system eventually one day to become the system how we choose our leaders, and even maybe beyond our leaders, the way how we choose their agendas. Because it's not only about choosing our leaders. That's, as I believe, still part of the old system where we have a democracy through other people who represent us. With this interconnected world where everybody have a smartphone in his pocket, we might even have a direct democracy when we vote on the things we think are important. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to vote on every single thing that's surrounding us, but definitely for the things that we believe are important, like for example PIPA and SOPA. In the future there will be 100 fights like PIPA and SOPA, and who knows when the people will be exhausted. The legislators will not be exhausted, but the special interests will not be exhausted, but the people might be exhausted from the fights like PIPA and SOPA. So there should be a system that allows people in a systematic way choose their decisions regarding issues like PIPA and SOPA and thousands others. So not only selecting our leaders, but also selecting their agenda, and even, like we're discussing all day today, crowdsourcing legislation. So in our case, in our workshop, I challenge you to give ideas for a legislation that will give a framework, legal framework, for a crowdsourcing our leader system. So I would be glad to hear anything that, with your legal approach, from the law point of view, you can say, we can do this like that, for example. And imagine how this system can work maybe in 20, 30 years, maybe not today, maybe not after a year, but when this system really takes off, how the government can regulate this kind of process. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything they want to say? Did any ideas come to mind? Or?
I just have a question. When people put up a person for mayor like Spike Lee, are you thinking that the actual election process would happen through this, or is this more of a fundraising tool where we select our own candidate, we promote him as a community, and then we push him to go through the formal election process?
At this point, what you just said, it's a way how to crowdsource a mayoral candidate. So in the beginning, but in the future, it might be the actual process where, let's say we crowdsource 10,000 candidates. There are 10,000 ideas for mayors, and they refine slowly to 1,000, to 100, to 10, then
Like
to
the
5.
California elections.
Sorry?
Like the California elections?
I don't know, maybe.
They had about 40 or 50 governor candidates this past election cycle.
Yeah, it can be 10,000. You know, the more the better, because it's all about finding our commons, because we are moving in a much more diverse world. We are personally much more diverse. Me personally, for example, I cannot associate myself if I'm Democrat or Republican or conservative or liberal, because for different aspects of life I have different opinions. So I am personally diverse, the society is diverse, so how we can group ourselves into two camps and say, okay, these are Democrats, these are Republicans, these are the winners, these are the losers, and it's a complete fake, according to me, of beliefs. If we align, if we find our commons through crowdsourcing system, and we say, okay, I agree with you about abortus, for example, but I agree with somebody else about green energy, and I agree with somebody else. And imagine on like 1,000 different verticals, we are finding our commons, we are aligning them, and we simply find what fits most. That's, let's say, the complex rule of majority. In this case, we have a simple rule of the most organized minority, which is 200,000 people in New York. They rule 20 million people. Only 200,000 people, they choose their leader. So that's a rule of minority. Even I would say we are proud with democracy, but in actual case we have dictatorship of fake majority. It's not majority, it's the most organized minority in some way.
Just as a comment to build on that, I think that's true on the national level too. So,
yeah, it's
I mean,
true.
if you could find something that will work for one city, might be applicable.
That's the whole idea, that this is, in our belief, the model for the next democracy, and the best place to make the first example is New York. Because if you just go and try to persuade people this is better for you, nothing will happen. I mean, but if you show with example, it starts like a game. You know, we are giving brainstorming ideas, throwing ideas, then those ideas grow, starts like a play, grows like a play. Eventually, Spike Lee, let's say, gets 500,000 people, and the Democrat candidate gets 200,000 people, and they say, Spike Lee might say, okay, 500 people won it, so I'm just gonna make myself candidate for, mayor, and eventually he wins. So I believe New York is the one and only place where this can work today. And maybe in 10 years it can work in 20 different cities, and maybe in 50 years everywhere.
So now if some of us have ideas and want to submit them to you,
No,
should we
you
go
just
through your
you log
website?
in and you create your
Yeah.
pool for anybody you want. It takes 3 minutes.
So do you want to make sure, tell the stream just to say your URL so everybody gets
Yeah.
it? It's WhyNot. I don't think it says it here, so on
We're
the
still
screen.
not launched. We're
Yeah.
still in test period, and we're building a little bit more image-like interface where there will be like virtual wishboard, so you can build your NYC mayor wishboard, so you can put 10, 15 people there. It's going to be like a self-expression tool as well. So you can see who I am through my wishes for New York City mayors, and not only that, for commercial stuff like what kind of food, what I wish for, or what kind of travel or whatever. But so we want to build a whole game-like environment, and also self-expression environment. We're going to connect it with Facebook, so it's going to be part of the people's personality, users' personality. So because in today's world, if you don't blur the lines between work and play, between utility and play, you can't just, it must be play, you know. So that's why we are making the whole platform playful and self-expression platform. So people are, you know, have fun using it, and eventually to take off. And because you need a critical mass of people, of course, you know, to join this idea and platform in order something to happen.
Right.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Does the WhyNot site give information as to locations of people who are, you know, nominating candidates, who are giving votes for candidates, so that, you know, for an election process where a certain candidate is expected to be elected out of a pool of people from New York City, for example, does the website give information that?
For now, no. Generally, we were discussing this opportunity with both with BLIP and with Tipping Point Partners, where Art Chang is, and he's also part of this committee where they run the 21st Century Democracy project. So, but the location base was more about city issues, like why not you fix this fence in Washington Square Park, or why not this, or why not that. Not so much for this initiative for New York City mayor. Obviously, people who join the pool for the mayor, it's like an open platform. You log in with your Facebook profile, for example, you support some candidate. It doesn't have like a legal weight, but it does have a weight in terms of, okay, obviously this guy had get 500,000, you know, votes, you know, or of support, and that's not something that will make him a mayor, but it's something that will maybe make him a mayoral candidate.
A lot of times, or I think perhaps in almost every jurisdiction, to get on a ballot requires a certain number of signatures on a petition. So perhaps a good sort of practical way to get this started in an election type process would be interfacing this with a state recognized petition form. So that if you click on Why Not, then your name is automatically entered into a petition for whoever, for mayor, for whatever office. And I think that would be a good foot in the door into a real world election process.
That would be great, yes, I agree. That will give legitimacy to the whole process and to the numbers which are behind the candidates. So I agree that would be great if we connect with some state-recognized, let's say, identity system. Any other questions?
I guess just looking at it, I think it's really interesting, and I like the effort a lot. As far as like making it, I guess it falls into it's a more of a political problem, but just a popularity contest versus, like I see a lot of celebrities on there now, and just people like a lot.
Just to make it fun, you know. So the whole idea is to make it fun, and obviously the people will give ideas. I mean, I can give ideas. You can give me to be the candidate, or for you, or for anybody else. But obviously, somebody to take off, he must be, you know, in some way known person, or with great achievements, or you know. So obviously, the winning candidates will be somebody who are already known. And I think we also made a few groups like Women's for candidates and Techis, Democrats, Republicans. So I think it would be very interesting to see in one place like traditional candidates like Democratic or Republicans, right next to people like Spike Lee or Fred Wilson, you know, guys like that, or women. Like,
what about being able to measure up your, you know, where you stand on issues versus some of these people? With politicians, you can look at their voting record, but with like celebrities or other people, which could be good at the job or could be fun, like would you maybe consider like sending them like a survey so we'd know if once they're reached like 10,000 people or something? It was like, let us know where you stand on the issues. So, our
So
readers can
the first goal is to get the quality, you need a quantity. So you need thousands of candidates. So for each candidate that you submit or you create a pool, you actually build a page. This page can be from a minimum of a title, like let's say Fred Wilson for Mayor of New York, and one photo. That's the minimum, that's the required. And you can build on top of it. You can put videos, you can put links, blogs, articles, other photos, anything, it looks almost like a website.
Yeah.
And you can enrich it and you can curate it. You can invite other contributors later on to provide content for that. We're going to have links which will show real time what's going on Fred Wilson hashtag, for example, on Twitter, on Facebook, maybe some other networks. And then, we might also, if for the winning candidates, we might allow them also themselves to join and become contributors to their website.
Yeah.
So as the quantity narrows down to quality, also their unique websites, their pages will expand in content.
But do you see an opportunity as a platform to start showing like where people stand on issues and values to the locale?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Just New York stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where do you stand on New
So-
York issues?
Yeah, that can, because there are comments and everything, you can make a question, for example, to Fred Wilson on each page there are comments, so you can make questions, so there could be like interactive communication. That's the whole idea, to start from a huge base of ideas, narrow down to smaller base of ideas, and then from horizontally to grow vertically.
Thanks. I like it a lot. But my suggestion would be like, I would like to match up with people I might not know I would like by seeing where they stand on issues. Be
Yeah.
able to kind of browse and search people by the issues first, and especially if you're doing New York City mayor, New York City issues. The
Yeah.
big things that matter to me as a New Yorker, that I'll be able to make a smarter decision on who I want to vote for than I would by watching the news or by any other way, really. And I think you can get there with the start you have.
For example, we gave this platform to Yale. They use it for crowdsourcing ideas for subjects, and speakers. So first they crowdsource subjects, and then when they choose the subjects, they crowdsource the speakers. So just imagine this for the leaders. For example, it could be a good idea that when we can say, why not you, for example, instead of creating a pool for a candidate, you can create a pool for an issue. You can say, why not the next New York City mayor doesn't do this, and then you might get in your pool 5,000 people, and then some of the candidates can say, okay, I believe in this, and if I'm a mayor, I can do this, So that's the next level, let's say, crowdsourcing their agendas, not only the leaders. Because the whole point is that if we make the politics smart, like we made our phone smart and our comments smart and everything in our life we made smart, in such case the politicians will not be so powerful as they are today. They will be more of executors of crowdsourced agendas. We can tell them why not this, why not that, why not that. So imagine one day if we have like a city council where the agenda is completely crowdsourced. Like they vote on issues that they came on their schedule by crowdsourcing.
Emil, can I jump in on that exact point? I think that the WhyNot platform is a 2.0 version of some stuff that already exists. How many people here are familiar with the Campaign Finance Board? Okay, so every single candidate who's running other than Bloomberg participates in the New York City Campaign Finance Board. And their goal, and Art Chang, who spoke earlier, is a member of that,
is to make elections as accessible as possible. So every single candidate in the city and city of New York in 2013 is going to do a small profile, and that's going to go on their website. They're going to put a headshot on, and then they're all actually going to do a video filmed at NBC, where they'll have a video that'll go online, and then all the citywide candidates will participate in a large debate that will be televised. But the issue, of course, is that's 1.0. It's from them to us, and there is no interactivity. So I think that's worth everyone knowing. But the other part is creating an interface where you can actually go and see who's running. So I think that those are assets. But the URL is nyccfb.info, which is incredibly easy to remember. And it's one of those things where if somebody in the room wants to just create a domain of nyccandidates.org and redirect there, you'll probably be doing the world a favor. But I think it's worth mentioning that this exists 1.0 so far, but nobody's really taken it to the 2.0 like Emil's suggesting with WhyNot.ly.
Thank you, Ben. We're going to have to wrap up here in a second. I will mention that Emil has put up a prize for the person who mocks up the crowdsourcing platform for the next mayor of New York City. The prize is a new iPad 3. So people in the room, if you'd like to make a submission, I'll let Emil tell you how to get in touch with him on where to submit that. We're leaving it open for a week. Does that sound right? Leave it open for a week for submissions, and don't think just because you can't code that you can't participate in the competition.
No, I would suggest more to be, as I said, about the legislation, because we are in a law school, and you are obviously enthusiastic about the intersection of the technology and law. So this is about it, and the legislation that will enable this kind of technology-driven crowdsourcing platform to be, let's say, build it in the system, so the system recognizes and accepts the ideas that surface through crowdsourcing and through platforms like WhyNot, how the government, the legislation can structure this system in a legal way. If somebody submits something that is really viable and something that can be, let's say, food for thought, you know, that because we're going to discuss this issue even today. We spoke with Andrew and Art Chang and other people. So we will reward the winning idea with an iPad. You have 1 week to send the idea. My personal email is Emil, E-M-I-L, @whynot.ly. So you can send me an email personally.
Great, thank you very much. Did anyone else have any comments or anything before we wrap up? No? Okay.
Thank you.
So the next presentation, guys, that's in here is CREATE, the copyright education program. We hope you guys will stick around.